Okay, so you folks may remember we had done this home in the middle of the summer. And when we did the home, the homeowner had carpenters here replacing sheathing behind this siding because there wasn't proper step flashing. When we replaced the roof, we had the opportunity to put step flashing all in that joint and in this area. But if you can look, you can see that when they built the home, right, they built the gutters out square. You can see there's even a 2-inch overhang. Where's that 2 inches supposed to be? Okay, and the person who hung this gutter, they would probably tell you that they did this purposefully, right? They would say that this crown molding is a finishing product, so they don't run the gutter up against it like it's a flat wall. They give you a little bit of space to be able to see the crown molding, right? But the fact of the matter is, that wouldn't run into that. The gutter is lower than the piece of crown molding that you see, so it can slide right underneath it. I don't know if that gives you better perspective. So in actuality, when these homes are built, right, everything's already on site. They're not fabricating the metal because they have all of the dimensions. And whoever hung the gutter chose to hang that 2 inches over the side. As you can see here, that the headboard ends and you have that 2-inch gap right there. And although I understand the carpenter's, explanation for the aesthetic, utilitarian-wise, you have a high traffic water area with no gutter, so it's just dispersing and dripping down. As a result, this entire head wall and the light as well is encased in ice. Now, we did discuss on the day of the job putting a diverter right in this area so that from that corner down to the gutter would be protected. But as most of you folks know, we would use thin metal similar to drip edge. Either we would use a piece of drip edge upside down, or we would fabricate that metal, but it would be 2 inches or 3 inches tops. And when you have snow that's, more than a foot in depth, the reality of it is the same exact problem would be occurring. Now, we do need to come back when we can get to that surface area and put the diverter, because the diverter will serve a purpose every time that it rains, which will be most of the time over the years. You're not going to have to worry about snowstorms. You're going to have to worry about all the excessive rain over the years. So, we'll put that diverter, but I will also talk to the homeowners about potentially just disconnecting this gutter and sliding it down to make up that 2-inch gap instead of having it overhung, or simply just replacing the entire gutter. What we did today as a temporary, right, we just put this 2x4, we doubled up the 2x4 as you would if you were framing and getting to a door or a panel or something that needed to be beefed up. We put it on a platform at the bottom and just bang some shims in to wedge it, so we didn't have to make any punctures in anything. The only things that have punctures in them, are this temporary downspout that we used, miter strips to hold it together. And we essentially just use this T with a drop down that people will use to create the drop down if they want to add a downspout. We simply just K-capped it on either side to make it catch like a drain box. So it'll catch everything that's going to run off over the next few days. That runoff will come down this flex hose, right down the drain pipe, right down the downspout, and then the downspout, obviously, going into the garden here off of the masonry work, which we were able to have cleaned from the ice. So the reality of the matter is, if we put the diverter there, it would have been doing its job on all rainy days. But with snow like this, we would be in the same circumstance. The only thing that we can do to prevent that, again, next time that it snows, would be to extend that gutter so that it closes off that gap. And then obviously, as soon as the roofs are thawed out and ice is removed, we'll come back and put the diverter that was promised so that we are guiding rain, into that gutter. Just unfortunate, nothing we could do with a foot of snow, but that will hold for now. And once everything melts, I'll be back.